Manager Nicole Starren was born on May 23, 1989, in Roseau, Minnesota, to parents Marvin and Ricky Starren. From a young age, Mani exhibited a vibrant and compassionate nature, endearing herself to family and friends alike. Growing up in the close-knit community of Roseau, she was actively involved in various activities that showcased her diverse interests and talents. During her formative years, Mani participated in Girl Scouts, where she developed a sense of community and leadership. Her involvement in the swim team and track highlighted her athleticism and commitment to teamwork. These experiences not only honed her physical abilities, but also instilled in her the values of discipline and perseverance. In her junior and senior years, Mani attended Badger High School, graduating in 2008. Her time at Badger was marked by academic dedication and active participation in school events, reflecting her well-rounded character. Following high school, she pursued general studies at Northland College in Thief River Falls, Minnesota, demonstrating a commitment to furthering her education. 2 years prior to her passing, Mani resumed her studies in St. Paul, earning a spot on the dean's list, a testament to her academic excellence and determination. Balancing her roles as a mother and student, she exemplified resilience and a strong work ethic. Spiritually, Mani was an active member of the Roseau Covenant Church. Baptized and confirmed by Pastor Joe, she cherished her faith community. Her fond memories of attending Blue Water Bible Camp and participating in the church's youth group underscored her deep-rooted spiritual connections and desire to give back to her community. Professionally, Mani found her calling in caregiving roles. She worked as a certified nursing assistant, home health aide, and in group homes, where her compassionate nature shone brightly. Her dedication to her clients, especially her work with Arne showcased her commitment to making a positive impact on those she served. In her personal life, Mani was a devoted mother to her 3 children, Colby, Titan, and Axel. She often engaged in outdoor activities like hunting, fishing, and camping with her family, fostering a love for nature in her children. Known for her organizational skills and a keen eye for thrift shopping, Mani balanced her responsibilities with grace and enthusiasm. Her empathetic spirit was evident in her interactions, always seeing the good in people and extending help to those in need. If you're visiting this channel for the first time, please subscribe, as this is a new growing channel and your subscription will encourage the work we do, as we continue bringing multiple real crime stories weekly. Now back to the story. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, Manager Nicole Starren was navigating the delicate balance of being a dedicated mother and a focused student. Residing in St. Paul, Minnesota, Mani was thriving academically, having recently earned a spot on the dean's list, a testament to her perseverance and commitment to her future. Despite the challenges of managing her coursework and parenting 3 young children, Mani was known to handle it all with grace and optimism. On June 28, 2023, Mani's life took a tragic and unexpected turn. That day began like any other, filled with her usual routines and responsibilities. She had been making plans for the future, reflecting her optimism and dedication to building a better life for her children. Friends and family recall that Mani seemed upbeat, showing no signs of distress or concern. Yet, as the day progressed, the normalcy of her activities concealed the darkness that was about to unfold. Mani was last seen in St. Paul, where she had been residing and studying. The circumstances surrounding her final hours are still shrouded in mystery. There were no immediate red flags, no calls for help, and no known conflicts that could have hinted at the tragic events that were about to occur. Her sudden disappearance left her family and friends in shock, struggling to comprehend how someone so vibrant and full of life could simply vanish without a trace. As the hours turned into days, the worry grew. Mani was known for her reliability, particularly when it came to her children. Her absence was not just unusual, it was alarming. Her family, aware of her routines and responsibilities, quickly realized that something was terribly wrong. Calls and messages went unanswered, and her social media activity ceased abruptly. The eerie silence only heightened the sense of dread among her loved ones. It didn't take long for concern to escalate into a full-scale search effort. Flyers were distributed, and pleas for information flooded social media. Friends, family, and even strangers rallied together, desperate to find any clues about her whereabouts. Law enforcement agencies became involved as well, launching investigations and combing through any available evidence. Yet, despite their efforts, Mani remained missing and answers were painfully scarce. During this time, the community that had always supported Mani stood united in hope and fear. Candlelight vigils were organized, prayers were offered, and her family clung to the belief that she would return home safely. But beneath the hope, an unspoken fear loomed. The fear that something sinister had happened to Mani. The search for Mani, Nicole Starren began swiftly and intensely. As the realization of her disappearance sank in, her loved ones rallied together, determined to find her and bring her home safely. Friends and family mobilized, utilizing social media platforms to spread awareness about Mani's sudden disappearance. Her face became familiar to many as posters with her photograph were distributed across St. Paul and surrounding communities, urging anyone with information to come forward. The community's response was overwhelming. Volunteers poured in, joining organized search parties that combed through neighborhoods, parks, and wooded areas. They retraced her steps, hoping to find any trace of where Mani could have gone. Her family clung to hope, pleading for her safe return and cooperating fully with law enforcement to assist in the investigation. Meanwhile, the St. Paul Police Department launched an official investigation. Detectives interviewed family members, friends, classmates, and anyone who had recent contact with Mani. They gathered surveillance footage from nearby businesses, reviewed phone records, and scoured social media for clues. Despite their thorough efforts, the leads were sparse, and the circumstances surrounding her disappearance remained puzzling. Law enforcement also made public appeals, urging the community to come forward with any information, no matter how insignificant it seemed. Anonymous tip lines were set up, and investigators meticulously followed every lead. Yet, as days turned into weeks, the search yielded no definitive answers, leaving her family in a state of agonizing uncertainty. The investigation took a more urgent turn when Mani's car was discovered abandoned. The vehicle was found parked unusually far from her home, intensifying concerns about her well-being. Authorities meticulously examined the car for evidence, but the results were inconclusive. No signs of struggle were immediately apparent, but the discovery only deepened the mystery of her disappearance. As the investigation continued, rumors and speculations began to circulate. People questioned whether Mani had left on her own accord, or if something far more sinister had occurred. However, those who knew her dismissed the idea of her leaving voluntarily, emphasizing her love and dedication to her children. Mani's family remained vocal, adamant that she would never abandon her responsibilities or loved ones without explanation. Despite exhaustive searches, police investigations, and public pleas, the case grew colder with each passing day. Hope was fading, but the determination to find Mani did not waver. Her family continued to push for answers, refusing to give up on their beloved daughter, sister, and mother. But at this point, the focus shifts to the heartbreaking discovery that would change the course of the investigation forever. What happened to Mani, and who was responsible? The answers were about to unfold in a devastating revelation. The breakthrough in the search for Mani, Nicole Starren, came on August 14, 2023. Nearly 3 weeks after her sudden disappearance, the news that everyone feared became a devastating reality. Mani's body was discovered in a storage unit in Woodbury, Minnesota, approximately 15 miles from her home in St. Paul. The unit had been rented under the name of her ex-boyfriend, Eric Paul Reinbold. The discovery was both shocking and heartbreaking. Investigators who arrived at the scene were met with grim evidence, confirming that Mani had met a tragic end. Her body showed clear signs of foul play, and the investigation quickly shifted focus from a missing person case to a homicide investigation. The once hopeful search for answers now demanded justice. Authorities wasted no time in zeroing in on Eric Reinbold as the prime suspect. Eric, who had a history of domestic violence and a tumultuous relationship with Mani, was immediately apprehended. His criminal past, including previous arrests and a history of abusive behavior, painted a disturbing picture. Investigators began piecing together the events leading up to Mani's disappearance, determined to understand how such a tragedy could have unfolded. As evidence mounted, chilling details about Monty's final days emerged. It was revealed that Eric had been the last person to see her alive. Security footage placed him near the storage facility on the same night she vanished. In addition, digital forensics uncovered incriminating messages and communication between the two, shedding light on a volatile relationship marked by tension and fear. The investigation also revealed a troubling history of control and manipulation. Friends and family spoke of Monty's struggles to escape the toxic relationship. She had expressed concerns about her safety, but like many victims of domestic violence, she tried to manage the situation on her own, hoping to protect her children and maintain some semblance of normalcy. Further evidence pointed to premeditation. Police discovered that Eric had meticulously planned his actions, ensuring that the storage unit was rented in advance and that he had a calculated plan to cover his tracks. It became clear that this was not a crime of passion but a deliberate and heinous act. With the mounting evidence, Eric was charged with second-degree murder. Prosecutors began building a case against him, intent on ensuring justice for Monty. The community that had once rallied to find her now stood united in grief and outrage. Vigils were held, and her loved ones mourned the loss of a vibrant woman whose life was cut short by senseless violence. The discovery of Monty's body brought answers, but it also opened deep wounds. Her family faced an unimaginable reality, grappling with the devastating loss while seeking justice for the daughter, sister, and mother they loved so dearly. Yet, even amidst the sorrow, they remained resolute, vowing to honor her memory by ensuring her story would not be forgotten. As the legal proceedings began, the spotlight turned to the courtroom. Would justice be served? And what consequences would Eric face for his actions? With the discovery of Nicole Starren's body and the overwhelming evidence pointing to Eric Reinbold, the case swiftly moved to the legal system. The question was no longer who was responsible, but how the justice system would hold him accountable. Authorities wasted no time in formally charging Reinbold with second-degree murder, a charge that carried a potential sentence of life in prison. Prosecutors argued that this was a premeditated and cold-blooded crime, and they sought the harshest punishment possible. The courtroom was packed as Monty's family, friends, and supporters attended the proceedings, seeking justice for the woman whose life had been stolen too soon. Prosecutors laid out their case with meticulous detail, presenting surveillance footage, videos showing Reinbold near the storage unit where Monty's body was later discovered, forensic evidence, blood traces found in his vehicle, connecting him directly to the crime, digital records, text messages and emails between Monty and Reinbold that painted a disturbing picture of obsession, control, and escalating threats. Witness testimonies. Friends and relatives recounted Monty's fears about Reinbold and her attempts to distance herself from him. Reinbold's defense team attempted to shift blame, suggesting alternate scenarios and questioning the prosecution's timeline. However, the evidence was overwhelming. As the trial continued, even more disturbing facts about Reinbold came to light. His criminal history of domestic violence and previous run-ins with the law were exposed. Records showed that Monty had confided in close friends about her fear of him, but, like many victims, she struggled to break away completely. This case wasn't just about one tragedy. It was about a cycle of abuse that had finally escalated to murder. Advocates against domestic violence used Monty's case as a stark reminder of the dangers of toxic relationships and the importance of early intervention. Also, when the police came to his house, he tried to barricade himself in a room and set fire to the apartment in order to hide or destroy evidence of blood on the rug and other parts of the apartment. But the fire was put out, and he was soon captured and taken to the hospital to treat his injuries. After weeks of testimony and emotional courtroom moments, the jury deliberated for just a few hours before returning with their verdict: guilty on all counts. The judge did not hold back in his sentencing. Reinbold received a life sentence with no possibility of parole, ensuring that he would never again walk free. The sentence brought a mix of relief and sorrow to Monty's family. Justice had been served, but nothing could bring her back. Following the trial, Monty's loved ones turned their grief into action. They began working with organizations focused on domestic violence awareness, helping others recognize the warning signs that Mani had once faced. Mani's story became more than just a tragic crime. It became a lesson in the importance of protecting victims and holding abusers accountable. Even in death, her impact lived on, inspiring conversations, reforms, and efforts to ensure that no other woman would suffer the same fate. With Eric Reinbold convicted and sentenced to life in prison, the case of Nicole Starren reached its legal conclusion. But for her loved ones, the grief and trauma remained. The aftermath of her murder extended beyond the courtroom, leaving a lasting impact on her family, friends, and even the broader community. Mani's family faced an unimaginable reality. She was a loving daughter, a devoted friend, and someone who had so much life left to live. Her parents and siblings struggled with the emotional weight of her loss, speaking publicly about the pain of losing a loved one to domestic violence. Her mother, in particular, became a vocal advocate, using her daughter's story to raise awareness about the dangers of toxic relationships and the warning signs of abuse. She spoke at community events, participated in domestic violence prevention programs, and urged lawmakers to push for stronger protections for victims. Mani's murder didn't just affect her family, it sent shockwaves through the community. Many who knew her struggled to process how something so horrific could happen to someone so full of life. Friends, former co-workers, and neighbors held candlelight vigils in her honor, remembering her kindness, her passion, and her dreams that were stolen far too soon. Her story resonated with other survivors of abuse, inspiring some to come forward about their own experiences. Social media pages dedicated to Mani became spaces where people shared their stories and raised awareness about the dangers of abusive relationships. The case also highlighted flaws in domestic violence intervention systems, leading some activists to call for stronger laws that could better protect victims before situations turned deadly. One of the biggest takeaways from Mani's case was the importance of recognizing red flags in abusive relationships. Experts pointed out that abusers rarely stop on their own. Their actions tend to escalate over time. Restraining orders and legal measures alone aren't always enough. Victims need safe exit strategies. Friends and family play a crucial role. Early intervention and support can sometimes mean the difference between life and death. Domestic violence shelters, hotlines, and advocacy groups used Mani's story to push for greater awareness, encouraging victims to seek help and reminding them that they are not alone. As time passed, Mani's loved ones ensured that her name was not forgotten. In her honor, a scholarship fund was established to help young women pursue their dreams, something Mani had been passionate about. Each year, events were held in her memory, not just as a reminder of what was lost, but as a way to keep her spirit alive. People shared stories, celebrated her life, and committed themselves to making sure her death was not in vain. The tragic case of Nicole Starren was more than just another crime story. It was a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked violence, the importance of recognizing warning signs, and the power of community support. Even though Mani's life was cut short, her story continued to make an impact, educating, inspiring, and saving lives. And through the efforts of her family, friends, and advocates, her legacy remained one of hope, awareness, and change. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to be notified as we add new videos daily. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.